All right. So I'm here with Marvin of Wis-Coat, and he is going to tell us a bit about his business. We're just going to chat and learn a bit about each other and kind of just see where it takes us. Um, yeah, really, this is, as I was telling you earlier, just through chatting, this is really my way of getting to know people in the industry. I work on more of the marketing side, so helping people get leads for paving and concrete and that sort of thing. So this is a way to kind of learn about the industry, learn what people are struggling with, and just kind of network and make some new friends, like you were saying. Make
Oh,
more than just the friends you make on the fishing trip, right?
yeah, that's true. That's true. It's quite an icebreaker that you're developing here, with podcast. So I think that's a good way to kind of so much let people know you're aware of a need here and there, but also that people catch your vibe too. You know what I mean? And I think that's a big thing.
Exactly, yeah. Because I make it a point not to. This is not a sales pitch, and that's not the point of this. This is literally just for me to learn about the industry. I have a background in construction. I did construction for 4 years out of high school. A lot of concrete work, just basic slab stuff, nothing too fancy. So the paving world, I never actually did paving other than just a few potholes around the farm.
You can't tell me you didn't want to do concrete for the rest of your life. There's no way.
I actually enjoyed it. But the general contracting space, I realized as much as I like being paid to go to the gym every
Yeah.
day,
Yep.
I it my brain was dying and my body was thriving. So
Yeah. Yeah, there isn't too much to focus on philosophical wise when you're trying to huck concrete around and move forms around and things like that. So,
exactly. Well, tell us a bit about you. We connected recently on Facebook, and I've watched a couple of your episodes on your podcast because you're well ahead of me in having a very well established podcast called Blacktop Banter.
yeah, thank you.
And you know you you're well known in the industry, and it's been cool to kind of see that. So I'm really excited to connect with you. So just tell us
Sure.
a bit about you, what you do. You can plug Blacktop Banter all you want on here.
All right. Now you've done it a few times already. I think that's enough for
All right.
hey. I actually did roofing in high school, um, shingles, and if anyone has seen my videos, you can see my body's not exactly built for steep roofs and heights and everything else. So that company also did asphalt maintenance, and I kind of got into that a little bit. I actually enjoyed it more, obviously, and we had an issue here where it just wasn't really a popping business, but I knew there was a need for it.
Mhm.
So I actually went to, let me back up a little bit. So I did roofing from when I was 12 years old until I was 18. And then at 18, I started doing my own thing. And later on went to the University of Wisconsin for maintaining asphalt surfaces and pavements. I'm sorry, maintaining asphalt pavements, and
Yeah.
did a little certification there and kind of knew what I needed to do and kept educating myself along the way. Started the business with just a pickup truck, a tank, and a hose, a little leaf blower, and a broom.
Just
And
doing seal coating, basically.
just doing seal coating, yep. And started with cold pour, crack sealant, and everything else, and just kept letting that pile up until I decided I needed to do more. And being a young man, 20 years old, that dude goes home with a couple $100 in his pocket. He's on cloud nine.
Yeah.
There's not very many necessities for a 20-year-old man.
Yeah.
So that money just, I wish I had it now because I would have been investing it probably, but
Yeah.
it would have been a good chunk. But no one told me about IRAs then, and I really needed to know about them back then. It would have been helpful. So I went from there to, trying to build Wis-Coat up a little bit.
So
Got
was
married.
it Wis-Coat from the beginning?
It
Um,
wasn't. It wasn't actually. It was MJ, which is Marvin Joel's Asphalt. But it was just a DBA. And then one day I seen a couple companies out. One had the family name of their business, and they were a huge company. And then another one just had a generic name. And I thought, why not do the generic name in case this is a business that you're going to want to sell? And why
yeah.
not, if you're going to stick to Wisconsin, why not have Wisconsin in it? So that's what I did. And I just come up with Wis-Coat and figured it would work fine. And it's easy to brand, easy to remember. You
Yep.
know, was a state behind the logo, and
Yeah, that was a real hard logo to develop, wasn't it?
yeah, it was. It was.
Yeah.
It took me a lot of time. As you can tell, that intellectual stuff we were talking about really wasn't popping when you're out in the heat, just saying, "What? Give me anything." And
Yeah.
yeah, so it went from there. It went from there, and then I did that repetitive thing season after season. I'd stack my acorns in the summer. I didn't do snow plowing or anything like that. And then I would spend most of the wintertime figuring out marketing, what I was going to do, plan for the future, watch Netflix before it was popular, and watch a lot of same DVDs. But I would spend a lot of time reading books and reading entrepreneur books and just kind of geared up. And eventually that entrepreneur spirit got so big that I was almost, how do I want to put it? Like the wind got let out of my sails for seal coating and asphalt maintenance.
Oh,
Because,
really? Okay.
because I came back and said, if all I'm going to do is make asphalt black and come home and repeat and do this now for what's going on a decade, close to a decade, I guess, I'm going to be sad. It's just not going to fulfill me. I had an idea that, well, I'm going to do snow plowing too. I got to do something different to change it up a little bit, make some more money, do something.
Yeah.
And I went on YouTube.
So you were about 30 by this time?
Yeah, I would say, when did that probably happen? No, I would say 6, 7 years ago, probably 28.
Okay.
28, 29. And I went on YouTube and looked up how to get into snow plowing and found a video by a guy who I would say is now my friend. His name's Stanley Genetic. He's a dirt monkey is his I guess pseudonym.
Handle, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
handle. And I watched like 3 or 4 of his videos, and I remember laying there in bed, and I said, I got to meet this guy sometime. Tons of views on YouTube, huge dude. And I seen that all these landscapers and lawn care guys were going to the GIE Expo, which is the Green Industry Expo in Louisville, Kentucky. And I just wanted to go down and see these guys. Well, in the meantime, those videos on the right side of YouTube that say suggested?
Yeah.
I went down a rabbit hole, man. And I mean, this rabbit hole was like, had tons of different ways to go. And I ran into a lot of these different influencers in the landscape and lawn care industry. And I didn't even know that there was a community like that could exist. And to know that these people all knew each other and they were contractors from all over the country, I immediately made my goal to figure out how they have done this and how I can do this in my industry, because it was a zero thing in my industry. Just people that
everyone kind of out for themselves. And
right. Everyone was out for themselves. And, I was in all these lawn care and landscape groups, and I didn't do anything but use a weed eater on the side of driveways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when I went down there, and I didn't care about any of the equipment or anything.
Oh, you went to the expo?
Yeah, I went to the expo, and all these guys were going to meet there. And I met all these guys that I'd seen, and fast forward, and I've done videos now with the Dirt Monkey, and we talk.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's kind of crazy the way that it has worked out. And the fact that I think that I didn't really want anything from the expo, but just these guys' knowledge.
Yeah.
They just took me in, like, immediately. They're like, oh, yeah, come hang out.
Well, you're an asphalt guy
so they're like, well, he doesn't want any. He has zero ulterior motives besides wanting to know why to do it. And they would ask me, why are you even here? And I would say, well, I want to know how you guys have created this community, because you can tell that it got them excited about what they did.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, that's what I want to do. So I went to the very first one, came back, started a group, the US Seal Coaters group on Facebook.
Okay.
And that group went from 400 to 2,600 members, which are mostly contractors underneath my watch.
Wow.
But fast forward, I've let go of the reins of that group, and it got took over by somebody else. And because I wanted to do bigger things, like I said, I kind of get mundane, and I'm like, well, I got to do something, bigger and better. We got to pizzazz this thing out. But from that group, multiple other seal coating, paving, asphalt maintenance groups have spurred, and it's really cool because each group has its own culture. It's really cool to dig into. But once I started that group, all of a sudden I would get requests from Pavement Maintenance Magazine, and they're like, hey, can we do a contractor spotlight? You're doing something that hasn't been done before.
Yeah.
Sure, that sounds fine. I did that. And then they said, well, no one really uses social media like you do. Could you write an article about using social media? And I wrote an article for Pavement Magazine. The article led to me speaking at the National Pavement Expo on using social media for marketing. And
Wow.
now, you know, I've snowballed that into, you know, not huge followings. I don't have thousands and thousands and thousands of YouTube subscribers. I don't have, you know, the biggest numbers I have sometimes on some of my Facebook videos go to 10, 20,000 views, but they're really designed just for asphalt maintenance guys and
Very
asphalt.
niche specific.
Right. Very niche specific. So when I see one go to 20,000 views, it's just mind numbing to me because
Yeah.
I know for a fact there's not that many contractors out.
Yep. No, that's amazing.
Well, it's interesting the way I used it and the way it's going. And then to get so many questions and messages about, hey, Marvin, how do we start this, you know, seal coat business? How do we put our unit together? How do we train guys the way that we want them to be trained? How do we, you know, target commercial properties? Well, all these questions I would get asked hundreds, if not thousands of times. And I thought, what would be the best way to cover all these questions? And I only have to say it once. And the podcast came to my brain. And
Nice.
very easily, I could just text a link over and say, hey, give it a listen. And before it would be a video that would say, hey, here you go. But I hated doing the videos too in depth because they were my business. It was my business page.
Sure.
So now with Blacktop Banter, that's created a avenue for me to be able to talk to contractors about everything within the industry, but yet not have my customers see what we're talking about, you know?
Right.
So
Right.
it's very good now. I have two avenues, and, you know, now with Wis-Coat, we had a small office, and now that we are trying to sell that office, we bought a commercial lot. We're looking to buy a bigger one. And I've recently moved homes to a bigger home. So, you know, where everything's kind of in movement, and we were really geared up. Yeah, we were really geared up for this summer being just, you know, a grand slam year. And
Yep.
it still can be. I believe it still can be, even though, you know, what's going on in the world. So that's kind of where I started from, how I got here. And, you know, I'm excited for myself now to see where the heck I'm going to go. Maybe I pull the wrong string and it all unravels, or maybe I tie the right knot and it really lets us go up into the air even farther. So it's interesting, man. It's really been an interesting ride.
Yeah, I love that perspective. I've never heard that analogy, but I mean, that's really what it is trying to get as many strings out there. So hopefully one tangles and turns into a knot and takes you up, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it's been an interesting thing. You know, if myself now, seen myself when I was 20, God, I would have been talking to myself for a long time to try to convince myself that I was right.
Yeah.
You know, but the young me would have been like, you don't know anything. So,
Yeah.
you know, I think you just got to deal with the journey, but I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about customers, marketing, myself, other people, employees. So it's been an interesting ride so far. And I'm 34. So I think I have a long journey yet. And I know for a fact now, because of all the people in my network, that I do not know anything. You know what I mean? So
That's what I'm loving with my podcast that I started, is just learning from people. There's so many different types of people out there, and as I get older, I'm only 27, but as I get older, I just every day that goes by, I like want to surround myself with people that are way smarter than me, because I definitely don't have all the answers to everything. And that's what's beautiful about this community, that I've kind of just stepped into with the asphalt world here, is everyone, like, for the most part, people are out to help each other. You might get a few people being like,
yeah, that wasn't the way it was at the beginning.
yeah,
I took a lot of arrows because, you know, it was an industry that was very cutthroat, and there's a lot of pride for the people that think that they know the right way to do it. And now we've all come to realize that some of that is just preference, and that really stepping on somebody really doesn't get you all that farther ahead. And really, with all these eyes on everybody now, you know, no one really likes to be seen in that light. So we've kind of put a snafu, you know, we've snuffed that out, which I'm really proud of, to say that I believe that myself and a few other people that were there at the beginning with that same mindset, that believed in me and believed in the vision, that we've turned that corner to where there's a lot of people out there that want to help each other out.
well, the rising tide lifts all boats, right? And
True.
that's something that I just finished reading The Go-Giver. It's, I don't know if you've read it. It's highly
Haven't.
recommend it. It's a small book. I think it's like 3 hours long, the audiobook. Um, but basically the concept is the more you give, like always make sure you're giving more value than you're asking in return, right? And then that's when things will start to compound. And it's very counterintuitive, but it's really changed my perspective um, in just the way that I conduct myself in business. And yeah, basically what I was saying is like the more people we help, the more we're all going to go higher and faster and further, right?
Yeah, I think that that's the, that's the vibe you want to have around you for your whole life, I believe, because you with us being so immersed in social media and people in general now, you can feel the vibe of how somebody is and what their motives are by just listening to them speak or watching their mannerisms now. And everyone's
Yeah,
so that that for me, I believe the reason that I hit so good right away and have some staying power is because that's just how I naturally am. I
just a
don't
friendly, helpful
I
guy.
don't really put money as a top priority. I heard a long time ago that if you don't focus on it and you focus on what's important, that stuff's going to come anyways.
Yeah,
And it does. I believe it does. The main thing is your goals, being goal oriented, and that's what's really, I think, shot us up there. And like you were saying about surrounding yourself with people that are a notch above, or are where you want to be, or at least a positive influence. That's a great thing to do. And sometimes you get in surrounded by some people, and then all of a sudden your vision starts to say, I thought they were this at first, but maybe they're not, maybe they are. It's just one of those things, man. And I still learn about that. I've had something with that recently. That's just one of those things, dude. It's life.
yeah,
We're all humans. Everybody's different. Their motives are different. The way they act are different. The only thing that you can control is your actions, your emotions, what you feel, your goals, everything. And for me, I'm I definitely believe in opportunity, which is why when you were like, hey, want to do the podcast? Yes, most
yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
Because it doesn't matter to me all that much. I believe, whether it's something amazing, like, speaking at MPE or some other big stuff we have planned, or it's something just as small as I had a guy come by and buy a tank from us today, and he's like, I don't even know how to put a proposal together. And I said, well, would you like one of our proposals? You can have it.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh my goodness. And I'm like, well, our lawyer looked at it, so you should be good to go.
Just change the words, and
Yeah,
the
just
names.
the addresses around, you're fine. And he came, he had done asphalt seal coating and stuff back in the day. And when I gave him that proposal, it was like he's like, this didn't happen back in the day. And I'm like, there's so much asphalt out there. I have nothing to lose. And if
Yeah,
somebody chooses a better contractor over me, which I believe we're the best, I believe it every time I step on a blacktop pavement.
100%.
Yeah. So, that doesn't change. But if they believe that they chose somebody and they're satisfied, that's all I care. I just don't want them to pick somebody that pulled wool over their eyes. And now I'm dealing with the repercussions of, a bad taste left in somebody's mouth, which
Yeah,
I had for a long time, so.
yeah. No, exactly. No, I love that. I love your mentality. I'm glad we hopped on here. I mean, I saw your podcast. I think we connected like a week or two ago. Not even. It was quite recent. And so I obviously saw you posting some podcasts. So I watched a couple. And I was like, man, like maybe in 6 months I'll ask them to come on. And then you reached out to me. So
Yeah,
that, like, because I've only been doing this for like a month.
sure.
So I think this is my ninth episode.
There you go, man. You're stacking them up.
I am, yeah.
I don't even think I can do 9 in a month, man. I shoot for 8, and I promised our sponsors that I would at least do 4. So
Nice.
I always try to under promise and over deliver.
I love
So
it.
that's my thing. And even with our sponsors, we do. And you know, that's the one thing. Like I said, what you see is what you get with me. If we were to meet in person, it would be the exact same thing. If we weren't on air or whatever, and I want to represent myself well, my business well. And I think that companies or businesses that are looking for social media influencers, they want people like that,
Yeah,
that represent themselves well. So
yeah.
that's why I do what I do. And that's, I think, been the secret to our staying power, honestly.
I love it. I love it. So you're talking about earlier about like the goals, the big goals that you set, and how that's kind of how you want to proceed. Can you talk a bit about what those goals are?
Yeah. So when I first started getting noticed for social media wise, like I never really had like, I never, I never really sat down and wrote my goals in my 20s, which
Yeah.
I really wish I would have, man. I just didn't have that mentor or those people around me, like you were talking about, to do that.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I started in my late 20s and actually met those guys from the lawn care and landscape industry that all of a sudden I realized, oh, they're setting goals. I remember setting goals in like PE class,
Yeah.
like by the end of this, Marv, you're going to be able to do 4 pull-ups. I was
Yeah.
like, dang, man, 4 pull-ups? That'd be great because that's more than I can do now.
Yeah.
So I never really figured too much about it. It was always that mentality, like same thing with high school, like, oh, you got to graduate. Okay. And then I always, in my mentality was, you got to go to college. So I went to a little college, but I didn't finish college. My mentality wasn't, hey, you need to finish college. Hey, you need to get a degree.
Yeah.
Same thing with business. I would literally be thinking only about the next day. And then once that day was done, I knew I had bills to pay. It was, hey, you got to pay this bill. Well, then when all of a sudden I'd be out working, I'm like, God, I hate this truck. Well, guess what? You need to get a new truck. That would be my next goal. So I had been goal setting, but they were so minimal that it was
They
just
weren't so far out.
right. So once I actually started with the social media stuff, I remember laying in bed watching one of Stanley's videos, and I looked over and told my wife, I'm going to do video with him. And it was just like, how in the world are you going to do this? You fast forward 2 months, and him and I are doing some videos. We're talking about business. And like I said, people started letting me into their lives. So then I got to see what their goals were and how
Yeah.
they were goal setting. And then realized that you could numerically set that for gross profits or net profits or whatever. And now I think I can't even go, if I didn't have any goals, I don't even know that I would get out of bed, Lewis. I'm just, it would seem meaningless to just go to work to make money to pay bills. You know what I mean?
Because you've got like the 5-year goal, or I don't even know how far out you are, but
Right. I'd say I don't go too much farther than 5 because I believe I'm going to get discouraged if I do. So we set short terms and we set long terms. You can see all my whiteboards behind me. Dude, I'm
I love it.
whiteboard crazy, bro. There's even one over there.
I
Dude,
love it.
this is a whiteboard behind me, this table. So I'm whiteboard crazy because I'll forget it if I don't. But
Yeah.
That's my big thing is now I set goals, and I also put those goals in like my son's mind. I put them in my employees' minds. I put them in my friends' minds that I have those goals, that we have those goals, because I want that vibe, that thought to be
You know where you're going.
yeah, to put out in that universe of, hey, Marv's going to do this. And
Yeah.
I'm starting to see that, man. Like I'll see goals. You want to know something crazy, Lewis, is that I wrote on these, like I have Post-it notes everywhere, bro. So not even the whiteboards are enough. I have to get Post-it notes. I wrote down one time that I wanted to be in Pavement Magazine on a Post-it note, and then they called me to be in there. Once I got back, I wrote, I'm going to speak at the National Pavement Expo. Next thing I know, I spoke at the National Pavement Expo. So now there's all kinds of, I really wish I would have wrote down, you're going to find $1 million, or
do it tonight.
Yeah, maybe I will.
Yeah.
But maybe I lost the magic off those first couple. I don't know, man. So
you'll never know if you don't try.
That's true. But maybe I'll settle for $500,000. Like I said, I don't want to get discouraged, so I'll deal with $500,000. Now we do have monetary goals, and I never really did before. As far as numbers, actual specific ones.
Yeah.
But the personal goals are really what excite me because, I had people comment on things that I would do, and they would say trailblazer, trendsetter, and I was just like, yeah, okay. Yeah. And now, on my post, people will be putting OG, this dude's been there from the get-go. This is all started because of this guy. So now I really don't want to let anyone down. I don't believe I will, but I want to make sure that if I'm the one kind of leading where we're going to go community-wise, that I'm making sure that it's in the right direction for longevity and stuff like that. So I get very excited with things like the podcast and, events. My big thing is events, dude. I love being surrounded by my peers in my
The
community.
energy, right?
Dude, I love it. I love seeing people that I've spoke with over the internet for the first time, and there being no hesitation or awkwardness because we know each other so well already.
Yeah.
I have so much fun in Nashville with all these people that
Talk to me about events that you would recommend people in the industry to go to.
yeah, so ours definitely our big one is National Paving Expo. You know,
Okay.
it's huge. And then I do a lot of speaking at open houses for like seal coating companies and things like that. That not like contractors, but
Like the
straight
suppliers.
things like that. And some of the most valuable things that come out of those things are the friendships and the network. You know, I wouldn't be able to have. I have a guest list that's going to last the rest of this year, and I wouldn't even have that if I didn't know all these people. You know,
That's awesome.
and it's hard for me to get a solo podcast in because you know there's so many people. I want to make sure I get all these people on the podcast and
Yeah.
I just did one with my friend Jason. It's going to be coming out here soon. And dude, you can tell by the podcast we're totally friends.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you know, and we have a great.
Was that the one you previewed today, saying you finally got him on video?
Yeah.
Or yesterday, I can't remember when.
Yeah, you had the toilet paper. Yeah. And we've met a couple times. This last time at National Pavement Expo, we really connected. And, you know, I take shots at him in the podcast and everything, and he takes them back at me. And it's perfect, dude, because I don't want anything from that man. And he doesn't expect anything from me and vice versa. We're just friends, dude. And he knows my struggle. I know his struggle. And there's something about that camaraderie of, yeah, we've both been out in the heat. We've both dealt with miserable stuff, you know. So, but we've also dealt with the rewards, you know, getting over the mountaintop, I guess, if you'd make it. But I consider that guy a lot more successful than I am. But, you know, I had one of the craziest questions I was ever asked was my sales rep from my seal coat supplier. She said, you know, what do you want for equipment? Like, you know, do you want to get 2 seal coat units? Do you want a pull behind crack filling unit? You know, and I was like, not really. She's like, well, don't you want to be like more successful? And I said, well, I do. I am going to be more successful. She's like, well, how are you going to be more successful without that? I said, well, if you're only thinking business and money wise, that's going to be very unfulfilling. You know, I want to go for legacy, you know, and I believe I'm on that track.
I think you're. I mean, I'm
somebody
a
has
couple of weeks in, and I see the legacy already. So
yeah, well, that's what somebody was saying recently. Is like, dude, you know, I did an interview with the guys from American Pavement, and they will be if that company vanished, we would all still remember them right now for what they are and what their dad built.
yeah,
And I believe that's the same thing with me now. You know, if I was just to vanish, people would still know and remember, and it would go on. So I want to ingrain that thing. You know, it wasn't like Jordan won an NBA championship and was like, I'm done now.
right.
You know, even when he thought he was done, he still came back and did it again and cemented that legacy even farther. So,
Yeah.
you know, I think that's just part of it. You know, you get good at what you do. This is going to be my thing. You know, everyone wants to find their thing, and I found it. So now I would believe I'd be doing it a great disservice for me to be as natural as I am at this and to just go, meh.
Yeah.
Whatever.
No,
So,
it's entertaining too. Like you've got great content on there. You've got the giveaways and stuff. Like I was saying, I've only been on connected with you for a week or so.
yeah.
And I can see the following. I can see the vibe that you're putting out, and that's why I wanted to connect with you.
Yeah. One of the, you know, it's fun. That's the thing, dude. It makes it fun.
Yeah.
And I believe there's some ideas and stuff that can come from this realm that may have never existed, whether they're businesses that pop up because of social media within our industry
Yeah.
or events that pop up because of this. You know, the podcast is going to be hosting an event, dude. And it's just an event that never existed.
Yeah.
And never existed before if the podcast didn't exist.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. It really is. It's pretty cool. And the fact that there are people within our industry that run businesses that want to be part of it and can pop some ideas in and have us thinking outside of the box that we've all been trapped in this industry for a long time is very exciting, because the people that were in their heyday in the 70s and 80s and even in the 90s, and then missed out on all this, I feel bad for those guys because they had to live in the mentality of, you know, putting up this guard, this wall, and be having some thick skin and tough skin and take no mentality, because if you did, someone would take you, you know,
Yeah.
they take you.
Yeah.
And now you don't have to worry about that so much, I don't think. You
No,
know?
I mean, and the people that are going to do that eventually are going to be broken down by
Yeah.
the upliftingness of the rest of the community.
Yeah, you'll see that now in the groups, you know, somebody says
People
something.
will call them out and they'll be like, "Hey,
Yeah,
just
dude, they're like, hey man, come on,
yeah,
bro. You know,
yeah,
so it's interesting. It's an interesting dynamic that has been added to it. And I'm happy for it
yeah."
because I want my kid to do this too. If he doesn't, fine. You know, I just want to be happy.
He's going to take your values and he's going to do something with it anyway,
Right.
right? Yeah,
Right. If it's in this one, I want him to enjoy it.
yeah,
And, you know, not just say, this is all I know. Too bad the culture in this community is terrible.
yeah, yeah,
So that now it's, maybe I do know more than this, but I like doing this because it's fun, you know,
yeah.
and we have fun when we're there. You know, the events at MPE, you see some fun stuff and you see people in ways that you had never seen them before. And then you really create some great friends. And, you know, when we're all sitting in a class and then someone shows up a half hour into it and you remember that's because they had 3 more shots down on Broadway than they should
Yeah.
have, you know, that night. It's fun. It's fun
Yeah.
to get laughing. And, you
You
know,
kind
we
of see people's personalities in a way that you don't on social media, right?
totally do. And, you know, I've connected with people all over the country now, and so have other contractors through the National Pavement Expo and other events, to where, like, I went to Houston and learned how to stripe huge parking lots with a guy. And then, you know, I would go to Missouri and learn how to use a piece of equipment that I was thinking about buying that I would have never been able to get coached on before. So
Yeah.
it's cutting all these curves to make us successful. The guys that are prideful and say, I don't need that, good. You know, I
Yeah.
find if you don't want to learn, cool. You know, you go ahead and learn the hard way. I'll learn the fast way, and that helps me climb this ladder to get to my goals back here
Yeah.
a heck of a lot sooner. So
Yeah.
it's only good business, and it's only being more efficient. You know, so the social media, the podcast, Facebook, Instagram. I really like Instagram too, dude. It's
Instagram's fun.
it is fun. You know,
Yeah.
it is fun, and not only that, like we're on a Zoom right now, and Zoom makes you almost feel like you're right there. It's
Yeah.
kind of crazy because there's all kinds of video platforms, FaceTime and everything else before, but for some reason Zoom, we do a contractor call once in a while. I do through one of the podcast sponsors, and there's 20 guys on there, and half of them I know, half of them I don't know, and the ones I don't know, now we've become friends to where we're doing podcasts together and different
Yeah.
things. It's all about network building, and you know, I'm not good at everything, dude. If to be honest with you, I don't know that I really like the actual work of seal coating and crack sealing and stuff like that, but I love doing it for the fact that it gives me a baseline to talk with my friends about, to challenge myself with, and a platform for me to do what I really love to do, which is just connect people.
Yeah.
That's my biggest thing, is making a community and connecting people. I've said that from the beginning, that that's all I'm here for and that's all I'm meant to do. But now it's
That's
the different things, you know. So
yeah. No, that's what I'm realizing as well with this is just I just love talking to people and learning about the things that are make them tick. It's really interesting to see how different people go at things, right?
yeah, most definitely. I mean, for me, my business methods are probably different than somebody else's. My marketing methods, I know, well, at first they were definitely different than everyone else's, but now people have seen the light of day through my speaking and me doing things. And now there's, you know, I did an interview on the podcast with a young dude named Cameron, and
Just
Cameron,
recently, eh?
yeah, and he's
Yeah.
way better than I am. You know, he is so articulate, and his ad writing and stuff, that he's so much better than I am, in my opinion. And he, you know, and when I said that, he was like, dude, for you to say that to me is just unbelievable right now, you
That's
know.
awesome.
and
Yeah.
and, and I believe, you know, that we all have our own niche and way of doing it in our own way. And I wish I could do ads like Cameron does ads, and I
We all
could.
have our zone of genius, right?
Right. And
Yeah.
I could do them like him, but they wouldn't be like him. They
Yeah.
just, I don't have that flavor that he has. Now, when it comes to video and articulating and doing things and talking and interviewing and keeping the flow going, I can do that all day. You know, I can freestyle rap, I can write a song, I can do whatever you want to
I
without
love it.
and I can keep a conversation going and keep people smiling. But for me to grab somebody's brain, I need a little bit of bourbon, and I need a good story, you know.
Yeah.
I need to know you before I can really get your brain in depth. But you read one of Cameron's ads, and halfway through, you forget you're even reading an ad, dude.
It's
And
just pulled you in, right?
it has. And
Yeah.
by the time you get to the end, it was almost like a short story, dude. And then you want to tell somebody about it. It's so
Yeah.
ridiculous how good he is at it. And then you
Because he does ads for all sorts of industries, right?
yeah, he wants to, and he definitely is capable of it. He comes. You ever read there's a book called Outliers by Malcolm
I
Gladwell?
have, yeah. Yeah.
So it's a great book about people who are in unique situations that make them into exceptional human beings. And I believe that Cameron is one of those people. His mom was a copywriter
Okay.
for a long time, so that's
Yeah.
why he's really good at it. His brother is, I believe, from what I understand, successful in his business, very very successful.
Yeah.
So Cameron's surrounded by these two influences, and amongst other influences, his wife is an English teacher, so he's also, you know, has to be articulate with her.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I have imagined he's gonna get it once in a while.
Yeah.
So this unique situation, this melting pot, has made him leap, you know, in front of any of us that think that we know something, that are asphalt contractors and use Facebook ads.
Yeah.
You know,
Because he
so
he is he getting into seal coating, or has he been doing it for a little while
he's
now?
been doing it. He's super successful. I
Yeah.
think he's more successful than I am. Maybe I say that about everybody.
Yeah.
But
It sounds like that's
yeah,
your thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We're in a really rural area where I'm at. So, you know, where I went fishing up in Canada was so remote. We drove like 15 hours. I believe there were more people there on the lake than I have in my town, man. So
That's awesome.
we're in a really rural area, so the numbers are different. But when you compare them to the population in our area, we do very well. But
Percentage wise, yeah.
percentage wise, yes. But if you compare those numbers to, if you were to take my numbers and throw them into Chicago or Milwaukee or New York or Pittsburgh, they're going to be they're going to be like, how do you even survive, dude?
Yeah.
And then, you know, you see guys that, at least I see, that are rural, a little more rural, and you know, that are doing rough numbers. And then I see guys that are in cities, urban areas, that are doing really rough numbers. And those are the guys I want to help, man, because
100%.
there's two things that's going on, Lewis. They're either on their last resort and they're trying to make money in some fashion, some way, shape, or form. And if they're an honorable person, they're doing it for an honorable reason.
Yeah.
So I'm in to help, and I can read usually right away whether they are or aren't. The other one is they have an entrepreneur spirit, and maybe it's all they know, maybe it's intriguing to them, maybe it drew them, maybe I drew them to the industry. Sorry, or you're welcome. It just depends on how they end up. You know, and there's two things there, and I want to help those guys. I want to help them because either they're drawn to the business or they need help. And I don't think I could look in the mirror, man, if I knew that there was a chance for me to help somebody and I thought, forget it. You know, I couldn't do that. It's just not me.
Yeah. No, and that's I mean, that's been coming through loud and clear here, and I love that.
Yeah.
I feel like I've gotten to know you really well here.
That's
Like I feel like we could meet up, like you said, at one of those expos, and
easy.
it would be instant conversation, right?
I'd be like, Lewis, come on, I gotta show you where we gotta go eat.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't have good food here. We gotta go somewhere else. You know, my striping representative, we were meeting for drinks on Tuesday night in Nashville, and I had another meeting with my friend Chris, and he's like, "Oh, I was hoping we go eat." And I said, "Well, I'll tell you where to go eat, man. You know, I'll tell you where to go get a pizza that
Yeah.
you have never ever had before." And like 20 minutes later, he sends me a picture of them at the place, and then an hour later, he sends me a picture, and he's like, "It's a half-eaten pizza." And he's like, "Oh my God!" I said, I tried telling you, you know, I told you where to
Yeah.
go and what it is. So, you know, it's one of those things where I never feel like I stretch myself too thin, because people are fully understanding what we're all going through in this industry. So the fact that we have something extra like the podcast or like Pavement Magazine, which comes to all of us as contractors for free.
Yeah.
The giveaway, those are all bonuses, dude. Those are all bonuses for something that has been the same forever. It's like you used to not be able to get an extra spray tip from somebody, it's like, now everyone's got to have their pennies. And now it's like, you want a free t-shirt? Here, we gave away 100 free t-shirts at the Titan booth.
That's awesome.
Wis-Coat / Titan shirts.
Yeah.
We gave away 100 of them at the booth one night, and it was on awards night, I believe. And for nothing, just show up, get a shirt, have a beer, and hang out and see me and say, hey. And there were people that drove down from Michigan that got there, and they're like, we're here. Where's the booth? They'd walk up to the booth, and it was just like, oh my God.
That's so good.
So it's kind of crazy, dude. It's really been a crazy ride, and we haven't even got close to starting it yet. I have a feeling we have some big things coming. So
man, I'm excited to have jumped in at this point and see where it goes from here.
Yeah. No, it's exciting. So now the podcast part of my side starts to kick in.
Yeah.
So diving into the asphalt industry and popping in some of the groups and actually just kind of gelling. Most people will join a group, and this is why I agreed to the podcast, because most people will join a group and then you get hit with, like you said, I don't want to be the sales guy, but you'll get hit with, hey, need lead generation? Hey, need this, hey, that. And we've had guys that have done that, that have popped in, kind of thought, this is similar to X. So, maybe somebody will give them a shot.
Yeah.
And you don't hear from those guys again when it doesn't quite gel or do what it should have done. But yet, to have you in now for a few weeks, I've noticed you in some of the groups and we connected on different things, and there hasn't been anything besides chiming in and asking questions and different things and just kind of gelling. And I believe that's the key to anything in our industry, is to make yourself part of the community. If you look at the most successful businesses that sell supplies or anything to us, they are the ones that are intertwined in the community,
and they're there providing value, right?
Yeah. And a lot of times they're just there to bust our chops, dude.
Yeah.
We're there just as bad, so
I mean, I was kind of like you, in the way that you kind of saw what the landscapers were doing and you wanted to do that. I met a guy from Australia through the internet. I haven't met him in person. But he basically reached out and we gelled as friends. But then he just kept providing like massive value to me, to the point now where I'd do anything for him. And he never really asked for anything in return. And I was like, man, like I got to figure out how Tom's doing this. Tom, if you're listening, I'm chatting about you. But I was like, I got to figure out what Tom's doing to like make that switch click in my brain, because now there's loyalty. Now there's like, I'll refer so many people over to him. We're actually doing similar things, but I'll be like, you got to go see Tom. Like Tom's got this figured out, right? Mm-hmm. And so and after reading the Go Giver book, I was recommended that by one of my friends as well.
I better write that down real quick.
It's super good. It's the Go Giver. I think if you search it, I forget the author.
I'll find it.
Yeah, you'll find it. Reach out if you can't find the author.
I will. Since I started doing the podcast, there's a pile of books upstairs. I will order them right away, and there's a pile, dude, from what everybody has recommended. So they'll just hang out probably till the summer's over, and then I'll go into the winter with plenty of reading material.
Man, I used to buy books, but now I'm on Audible and Scribd now.
Over the summer, that's what I do when I'm on Blacktop. Yeah, I'll do.
Because I had this pile of books that accumulated over like 2 years, and I wasn't reading it, and my wife was like, "What are you doing?"
Like it's so inefficient.
Yeah.
But yet, when it's the wintertime and there's snow, and I get up early and I got a cup of coffee, when I have it's got almost to the point where I will buy the hardcover no matter what. For some reason,
just that feeling.
That feeling, yep. Yeah. And it seems strange, but that's the thing. But in the summer, I can't even stand a book. Like I don't even want to look at a book. I don't have time for it. It's so inefficient for me to do it, because I can pop my headphones in and I can be trimming out, or I can be brooming, or
driving, or anything.
Driving, yeah. A lot of times they'll convert right over from Bluetoothing from the truck right into my headphones when I get out of the truck. So
Yeah.
I do knock a lot of books out that way. I think I did 10X by Grant
Nice. I
Cardone
just finished
that
that as
way.
well.
I
Yeah.
did, The One Thing, I did that one. And then
Is that a good one? I haven't read it.
it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And that's what I was almost disappointed when I read it. It's mainly about focusing on one thing.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, not seal coating, not asphalt. Don't tell me the one thing is this. And really, it's not. It's the area. It's the field,
Okay.
of what you do. And for us, that's asphalt. And the podcast covers asphalt. My
Yeah.
articles cover asphalt. When I speak, we talk about
You're just
asphalt.
making a more well-rounded,
I am.
well-oiled machine.
I am.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Yeah.
the
So kind of going back to that, circling back around,
Mhm.
I, I just realized that if I was adding value to people, they'll take it and use it, and then if they want, they'll come to me and get me to do the thing that I just told them.
Exactly true, man. Yeah, I know there's been times when I've posted stuff and somebody will post a link to their website, whether it's to buy a product or buy whatever,
Mhm.
right underneath of something that I worked really hard to edit and put together. And sometimes it's even been for other companies. And
Yeah.
then people from other companies will post in the comments links to the exact same product or whatever it is
Yeah.
in there. And it's like, dude, you piggybacked off of all this hard work and stuff that I'd done for this company. And I like you. I could just block you and you never
Yeah.
see me ever again. But I
Yeah.
like you. Why would you do that? So, what I'll gently do is just say, dude, not cool.
Do you say that in the comments or do you message them?
No, I do
Yeah.
it. I do
Yeah,
it
that's good.
personal. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm, and you know, it, and sometimes they're like, well, why is it not cool? And then other times they'll be like, dude, totally understand.
Yeah.
But, more than likely, if you comment on something enough, if you're part of that community and you offer value, the people are going to click your profile anyways, dude, and see who
Yeah.
you
And,
are and what.
if I found if I'm pushing it on people, it's so much harder to make the sale. They're not qualified usually.
Yeah.
And then they're going to be customers that are like questioning everything I do the whole way down. But if I've built that trust and people know that that I bring value to the table, then it's a win-win for both of us, right?
Yeah. If you can get somebody to advocate for your cause, that's always speaks 10 times better than you trying to do it your own self. Now,
Yeah.
if that's proven and they do advocate for it, and then there's something that is built up to a moment and you capitalize on that moment, you knock it out of the park, you better toot your own horn.
Yeah.
Dude, like that.
There's elements of
That's
social
something to
proof,
be
right?
proud of. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's something to be proud of. And that's kind of with Cameron. We just watched him make these ads that were so intriguing and fun. And we all loved one specific ad that he put out for hiring somebody. And we all read it, and the string was forever long, right? Fast forward like 4 or 5 days after the flame had wore off of this great ad that he posted, and all of a sudden we see Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs reposted his ad.
No
And
way.
yeah, dude. And then all of a sudden it was like millions and millions of likes and views and stuff. And we were like, holy crap, man.
Wow. I love micro.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
was pretty ridiculous. I think I'm more in shock of it.
Yeah.
Cameron must have been in shock and wore off fast, because
Yeah.
when I talked about it, he's like, yeah. I was like, oh, wow.
Well, he's just downplaying it because it's
Yeah,
his gig, right?
maybe
Yeah.
not. I don't know. But he's totally cool about it. And for me, it was just fun to see that kind of thing, because he's so good at it. And he didn't have to say I'm the best, or I'm good, or if you need something, do this. He just said, he came to realize by all of us being like, dude, you're the man at this,
Yeah.
like, well, maybe he would started getting messages. Hey, can you write my ads? Hey, can you do my ads? Hey, can you manage my ads? And he's like, well, I'll try to help you out. I'll do
Yeah.
what I can do. And now he's embracing it. And I was telling him, like, dude, you got to embrace it. Like,
100%.
this is what you're good at. Why not embrace it? What you're good at,
That's a gift that a lot of us don't have. I definitely don't have the gift of copywriting.
There's no way I do.
Yeah.
Maybe copyright infringement. I get tagged for that sometimes, dude. it's interesting because he's so good with words, and that's why I had to ask him. I'm like, what is copywriting, dude? He's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, the only copyright I know is when I use music I'm not supposed to use on YouTube, and they're like, hey, they're your copyright banned.
Yeah.
But he was like, no, I'll explain it to you. I'm like, oh, so I know exactly what that is. And he's like, yeah, maybe we just call it something different and do whatever different. But his mom's been one for 30 some years. So you can imagine, dude, when he was doing homework, she was sharpening that dude, like there's no tomorrow. But that's kind of the same thing you come to find out with guys that do sales. They had to, and maybe they didn't have to, but their dad did sales and their dad taught them to do sales. And maybe they were in a pressure cooker and that pressure cooker made them into a really good sales agent. And there's guys, I have a friend, a good friend, and he owns a business that focuses on training people with sales and stuff. And maybe he's not so great at some aspects of different things, but when it comes to sales, he is unbelievable at what he can do.
Wow.
And it's just because of the years and years that, there's in that book Outliers, it was 10,000 hours, that's kind of the mark. They figure you're going to be a master when you put in 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
Man, all I ever did growing up was talk, and I still am talking 85%.
You're good at it.
So, I think I ran up that 10,000 hours by the third grade, bro. He's like, Marvin, you didn't even raise your hand. The teacher would be like, who knows the answer? And I just start talking. She's like, you didn't even raise your hand. Like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that. So,
racking up my hours, teacher.
I did, dude, racking up my hours. Yeah. So it's my niche, but everyone has niches in these things and the stuff that they do. And I see my little dude playing Fortnite, and he's like, hitting the thumbsticks, and I'm like, dude, do something. He's like, Dad, I am doing something.
Yeah, that's an Olympic sport now.
Dude, well, I was like, dude, you just got to do something so you can get good at it. He's like, Dad, why do you think I'm playing Fortnite? I'm going to be the best in the world. And then I was like, dang, dude, all right, bro, go ahead, but I'm not buying your Xbox cards, dude. You're going to have to do that your own self. You're going to figure out how to earn money. But, to stop him from what he loves to do, too much is too much. He still has to get his stuff done. But besides like that point, you look at guys like Travis Pastrana that were riding bikes when they were young, and now he was one of the best MXers of all time.
His body's in 1,000 pieces, and he still rides.
Totally, dude. Yeah. And you got Shaun White, who did snowboarding and skateboarding when he was a freaking infant, dude.
Yeah.
And they hit it and put in those hours. Michael Jordan shooting free throws over and over. And it's just one of those things where some people are naturally built for some of those things, man. And maybe mine is just flapping my gums. Maybe somebody else's is marketing and targeting, and maybe somebody else is sales. Maybe somebody else is copywriting, and maybe somebody else is dancing, dude. I can't dance for anything, man. I wish I could.
That's two of us.
maybe I put in those hours, bro. Quarantine, I should have been doing it. That's what I should have been doing, brushing up on.
I'm 6'8", so my dance moves aren't quite as smooth as that.
Play basketball?
I didn't really. So everyone asked that, obviously.
Oh, of course.
But in middle school, my basketball teacher I was a really intense kid. So I was pretty rough, and I was usually bigger than the other kids, right? So I got called out a lot and just ended up not enjoying it as much as I could have.
Sure.
So volleyball and soccer are more my things.
What'd you say?
Volleyball and soccer.
Oh, I got you. Volleyball makes sense.
Yeah.
Soccer? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We didn't really do too much soccer around here, but we did like to watch the girls play volleyball. I will say that, bro.
There you go. And
we didn't have much men's volleyball here, but volleyball got intense at my high school because we ran to the state championship a couple times when we were in high school. Yeah. So, you'd hear these girls just being like, just giving it out there. And we were like, well, we're supposed to cheer now. I think. I really don't know. They look at us and we're supposed to cheer. Yeah. So, everyone's got their niche and their kind of thing.
Exactly.
And what they like. So 6'8", dude, you're a foot taller than me.
There you go.
Right.
Good stuff. Well, do you have anything to leave your fans and just tips for business owners in this current climate or whatever? A parting thought.
Yeah, my big parting thought is just to treat people the way you would want to be treated. Because if you don't, you're going to get treated the way that you don't want to be treated. You know what I mean? So for me, it's always been good vibes, positivity, help when you can, I don't want someone to go out of their way to do for me that it's detrimental to them, you know? So I don't do that for my own self. I don't put myself out there so far that it stretches me thin
Yep.
for somebody else. But if I can help you, even if it's just pointing you in the right direction or doing whatever, and it doesn't take any sweat off my back, dude, I'm in. And I think that's the main thing, dude, is treat people how you want to be treated. If I was starting out and I was in your shoes and I was like, hey, I want to kind of get into this industry and I need guests, you know, I want to talk to somebody at some
Yep.
point. If I was you, I would hope that if you were me, you would have said yes and be like,
Yeah.
yeah, dude, totally. I want to connect. I want to talk.
Yeah.
So
No,
that's,
and I greatly appreciate it.
dude, no worries, dude. I'm always wanting to talk and connect with anybody. So hopefully down the line, when you're doing this a year from now, we can come back and you can be like, Marvin, did you hit any goals? And I'll
Yeah. Yeah.
be like, yeah, most definitely we hit some goals. What about yourself? So, I mean, that's the main thing, man. Is there anything that people wonder or need help with? I'm sure there is. My big thing is treat others how you would want to be treated, and don't let your pride get in the way of your success. That makes no sense to me,
Yeah.
because you can be so much more successful and swallow that pride a little bit. You know what I mean?
For
So
sure.
that's it.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
No
Good
worries, dude.
stuff. Well, this has been Marvin with Wis-Coat, and I'll just pause the recording here, and then we can just say our final words in the off tape here, and then we'll go our merry ways.
Cool, dude.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Thank you.